Over the last few decades, China has grown very quickly. It's become the factory of the world, but it's also become a global leader in a lot of major technologies. On 1st March 2023, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, or ASPI, launched a huge project called the Critical Technology Tracker. This project tracks 44 technologies that it claims are foundational for our economy, society, national security, energy production, health, and climate security. According to the ASPI report, China has built the foundations to position itself as the world's leading science and technology superpower by establishing a sometimes stunning lead in high-impact research across the majority of critical and emerging technology domains. China's global lead extends to 37 out of 44 technologies that ASPI is now tracking, covering a range of crucial technology fields spanning defense, space, robotics, energy, the environment, biotechnology, artificial intelligence, advanced materials, and key quantum technology areas. The Critical Technology Tracker shows that for some technologies, all of the world's top 10 leading research institutions are based in China and are collectively generating 9 times more high-impact research than the second-ranked country, most often the US. So there's no doubt that China's clearly been on a rapid technological ascent, but the big question is that as global dynamics are shifting with the Russia-Ukraine war, trade wars, supply shocks, and recessions dominating our global geopolitical landscape, will China be able to maintain the massive technology advantage that it's amassed over the last few decades? Hello everyone and welcome back to Mayar Media. In this video, we're going to take a look at China's technological rise. We'll explore where it stands today and what the future holds for China's tech sector in light of all the forces that are shaping our planet today. Before we proceed, please do subscribe to our channel and hit the thumbs up. It's free for you to do, but really helps us out more than you know, and your support gives us the motivation to keep making these videos, despite the fact that we're not making any money off of them yet. If you hit that button, thank you. Now let's dive in. China took its first steps on the road to technological success in 1976. This was the year when Deng Xiaoping came to power after the passing of China's infamous communist leader Mao Zedong. Xiaoping was a visionary, but he was also a practical man who realized that communism in its truest form would only hold China back. He began embracing market-oriented or capitalist policies and moved China from a centrally planned system to a socialist market economy, which, as the name suggests, is basically a type of system that blends elements of socialist and market economies. Deng introduced policies known as the Reform and Opening Up that encouraged foreign investment in private sector competition and also privatized most state-controlled industries. But Deng's crowning jewel was probably the idea of special economic zones, or SEZs, that he borrowed from the 4 Asian tigers of Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and Taiwan, so called because they were growing rapidly during the late 1970s and early 1980s. These countries had used export processing zones to great effect in their development, and their successful models provided Deng with an example to follow. Deng introduced SEZs in 1978 as part of his open-door policy to test out economic reforms. SEZs were primarily intended to attract foreign direct investment, promote exports, and serve as engines for economic growth, and they did this by offering incentives like tax breaks, improved infrastructure, access to cheap labor, and fewer bureaucratic hurdles. The zones played a crucial role in helping to build China's reputation as the world's factory and also contributed significantly to GDP, employment, urbanization, and industrialization. In essence, SEZs are what truly set the stage for China's technological renaissance. Deng's efforts, however, weren't just limited to SEZs, and he also focused a great deal on expanding access to primary and secondary education, giving Chinese citizens a solid foundation of literacy and basic skills. Both the number of institutions and the number of students enrolled went up, but so did the quality of the institutions established, and some universities in China, like Tsinghua and Peking universities, are now consistently ranked at the very top globally. STEM fields were obviously especially emphasized, and students were also actively encouraged to study abroad, especially in the US and other Western countries. Many of these students pursued degrees in tech-related fields and came back to China after graduating, bringing back skills, knowledge, and a solid understanding of innovation ecosystems. Policy-making that favored technological development in China continued even after Deng Xiaoping passed in 1997, and subsequent Chinese presidents proved to be just as forward-thinking. In 2015, Xi Jinping, who was still the president of China, launched a program called Made in China 2025. This program aimed to transform the country into a high-tech manufacturing powerhouse and global leader in advanced industries like IT, robotics, aerospace, advanced materials, and biotechnology. The program, which is still underway, has a number of strategic objectives, including fostering innovation, upgrading manufacturing capabilities, and reducing dependence on foreign technologies. It aims to strengthen China's position in the global value chain, increase the competitiveness of its industries, and make it so that domestic production accounts for more than 70% of the materials and components used in strategic industries by 2025. China's confidence in its future and this program is probably best illustrated by an anecdote by American Lieutenant General McMaster, who said that when I served as President Trump's national security advisor, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang went so far as to state that China, having now developed its industrial and technological base, no longer needed the United States. While this, of course, isn't the right time to get into a discussion of whether or not that statement is true, policy-level foundations of the sort just outlined did lay the foundation for the growth of China's own tech giants, which have also been instrumental in driving tech innovation in the country. Huawei, for instance, has become one of the world's leading telecommunications equipment manufacturers and ranks among the top companies globally in terms of its R&D expenditure. Tencent is a major player in social media, gaming, and digital services and owns China's WhatsApp equivalent called WeChat, while Baidu is the Google of China and also runs an autonomous driving project called Apollo, which is considered to be one of the world's most advanced. ByteDance, on the other hand, is the company behind social media sensation TikTok, which of course needs no introduction. We also, of course, have to talk about Jack Ma's Alibaba, since no discussion of China's rise as a tech power and global manufacturing hub would be complete without it. Alibaba revolutionized e-commerce in China with Alibaba.com, which focuses on business-to-business transactions, and Taobao, its consumer-to-consumer equivalent. Alibaba also has a spin-off company called Ant Group that operates Alipay, China's leading digital payments platform. Alipay has played a crucial role in the digitization of the Chinese economy, making cashless transactions a norm and paving the way for a range of other fintech innovations. These companies and many others in a range of sectors like semiconductors, military technology, and biotech have become powerhouses, reshaping entire sectors of the economy, both within China and globally. Today, China's investment in R&D is at an all-time high and reached $378 billion in 2020 alone, which makes China the world's second largest spender on R&D after the US. China is also the world leader in patent applications and accounted for over half of the world's total patent filings the same year. It's undoubtedly clear that China has achieved remarkable progress over the last few decades, but will it be able to maintain its technological dominance? Let's take a look at some of the factors that could turn the tables for China in the years to come. The first of these is a slowdown in China's economic growth. In 2022, China's economy grew by a mere 3%, falling 2.5% short of their target for the year. Chinese economists argue that this slowdown is because of the pandemic, but the reality is significantly more nuanced, and many factors, a lot of which actually predate the pandemic, are to blame. For one, China's birth rate has fallen considerably and is currently a mere 1.28 births per woman, which is well below the replacement rate of 2.1, and as a result, China's population has begun to shrink. In fact, it's reached a point where China has now been replaced by India as the world's most populous country. I've already discussed China's fertility problems in a previous video on the lagged impact of China's draconian one-child policy that I'll link in the description box below. But this means that in addition to shrinking, China's population is also rapidly aging, while its workforce is becoming smaller. Both of these factors will have a significant impact on where the Chinese economy goes in the years to come. The IMF has predicted that without macroeconomic policies and structural reforms, China's economic growth will continue to slow, falling well below 4% over the next 5 years. Amidst slowing economic growth, China's political climate and recent clampdown on its tech sector are of particular concern. Starting in 2020, Chinese policymakers tightened their grip on large tech conglomerates in an attempt to break what they called their blind expansion. JD.com, Tencent, Baidu, and ByteDance were all fined for antitrust violations, while Jack Ma was directly persecuted in response to a speech he made in October 2020, in which he criticized China's financial regulators, calling them an old people's club and accusing them of stifling innovation. He also criticized the traditional banking system, saying that it was outdated and needed to be reformed. His comments were seen as a direct challenge to the state's authority, and shortly after his speech, Chinese regulators suspended the IPO of Ant Group and have since also seized and divided up most of the wealth of the man who was once China's richest. Tech companies in China now face increased scrutiny, compliance requirements, and limitations on their operations, which could hinder their ability to compete globally, collaborate with foreign partners, and access cutting-edge technologies from abroad. What makes these things worse is the fact that all of this is happening at a time when China is also having to deal with increasing global fragmentation, or de-globalization, which is a movement towards a less connected world, characterized by powerful nation-states, local solutions, and increasing border controls. This could have a significant impact on China, given the country's considerable reliance on global trade and investment. growth could slow down, leading to job losses and social unrest, and inflation could rise, not just in China but globally, as foreign essentials become more difficult to access. China has been able to acquire advanced technology through foreign investment and partnerships with foreign companies, but de-globalization could limit China's access to such technology, which could hinder its economic development. It could also lead to increased geopolitical tensions between China and other countries, particularly the United States, and conflict could become more likely as trade reduces, since trade creates economic interdependence between countries, making it less likely for them to fight, as war would harm economic interests on both sides. To top it all off, China also has a major problem with brain drain. According to Stanford University, 70% of Chinese students studying abroad choose not to come back, and since 1978, only 275,000 of 1.06 million students have returned to China after the completion of their degrees. This obviously isn't great for China's technological present and future, but is especially problematic given China's already rapidly aging and shrinking population. So where does all of this truly leave China? We think that the CCP has been projecting a false image of where the country truly stands, but you've got all the facts as well now, so we leave it up to you to decide. Let us know what you think the future of China will look like in the comments below. Don't forget to check out our video on Jack Ma, and I'll see you again in the next one.